As a viewer, if you were to watch your own show on your own channel on election day, what would you like the viewers to take away apart from the numbers?
I think the big question is, everybody tells you what is happening. Everybody has the numbers. But why is it happening? To try and, as I say, make election analysis accessible to people. You know, I've always enjoyed the way the BBC did. I grew up watching BBC for a long time on election night. They were wonderful. CNN has taken it to another level with their graphics. But I think the key at the end of the day is making elections accessible.
You know, we're talking about banning opinion polls. There's so much written about it, and you blogged about this. You spoke about how in the UK there is regulation. I want to tell me, how important is it to get regulation into this, because it's scientific for some people, but also a lot of people do it for political gains.
Look, my sense is that a lot of opinion polls in this country have become teen patti. Opinion polls could go wrong, but at least if you're honest in your disclosure and telling the viewer what is your methodology, how did you do the poll, putting all the statutory warnings, that would be, to my mind, at least enhance the credibility of opinion polls. I think, if we continue down this path, then opinion polls are going to become teen patti, literally.
In India at least, post polls, exit polls, they're all commissioned by media houses at a time where media channels are fighting for every rupee, and this is a very expensive exercise. Why does it make sense to do such elaborate post-poll surveys?
It's a brilliant question to which I have no answer. I really don't have an answer. I think we do it partly because of competitive pressures, partly because I still believe that if you do a good post-poll, you get a lot of information that can generate decent content.
But does the viewer care? Because your viewership
the viewer desperately wants to know the moment the polls have closed who's won, who's lost.
But does he care about so much analysis, or do we end up doing journalism for each other?
I've got a 24/7 animal which has to be fed.
Yeah.
And for the 3 days of elections, that's the biggest story. And because it's the biggest story, I'm looking for new ways in which I can keep that story going. And one of the ways is a poll.
How real is this problem of paid news during election, and how do you ensure transparency? Because it's a lot about perception.
The quality of people who are entering this profession, there is a significant decline. People are entering this profession just to make a quick buck. There are a number of people there, and elections is the time to make a quick buck. If you are going to cover a particular candidate's speech for money, then you've got to say this speech is sponsored by, right? At the same time, viewers have to realize that if I show Narendra Modi's speech live, that doesn't mean I've taken money from Modi. Then somebody will, jot it down and say, look, you covered Rahul for so many minutes, Modi for so many minutes.
And that has become worse with Twitter and social media.
Yeah, it has. At the end of the day, all that a journalist has is his credibility. And it takes years to build, and to destroy it in 140 characters is, I think, unfair. I think audiences and viewers have to recognize that if someone has built a career over 25 years, you couldn't have built it over, it's not something.
But Rajiv, it's not only about you, it's also about a lot of other
journalists. As I said, the profession faces a credibility crisis. That's where the opinion polls come in, that's where paid news comes in, that's where I say have regulation. I remember when I was president of Editors Guild, we went, and the Chief Election Commissioner Dr. S.Y. Qureshi told us about this paid news problem during elections. We sat together, and to the credit of the Election Commission, they have now told their district officers that if you see evidence of paid news, it will be included as a corrupt practice.
There's a general fall in trust in news media. What do you think is the cause for this, and what is the remedy?
So there is a far greater reliance at one level at what's happening. The flip side of it is that people today feel that a number of us are doing what we are doing for either TRPs or for drama or simply to create to create sensation.
But is that untrue?
I think it's unfair. I think it's unfair to label everyone and to paint everyone with the same brush.